Hi, friends. Happy Wind Down Wednesday. I'm so glad you're here with us this evening. Find someplace cozy to sit, and we will get started. In first grade, we are learning how to read. It makes my teacher heart grow so big when I look around the classroom and see students using flexible seating and reading their very favorite stories with friends. I see many of you love reading books from our thematic library. Tonight, I wanted to share with you my newest favorite book. I say that it's my newest favorite book because my favorite book changes all the time. This is a book that I bought a couple of weeks ago, and I'm so excited to share it with you. I think you will be excited to know that you have many connections to the story we're going to listen to. Let's get started. I'm going to put on my reading glasses. The story is titled Lila, Greer, Teacher of the Year. Lila, Greer, Teacher of the Year by Andrea Beatty, illustrated by David Roberts. This story is part of a series. If you're interested, you can explore these stories that are also part of the series. In a big windy city, in a small bungalow, lived a father, 5 children, 3 cats, and 1 crow. The baby was Lila, with a curl on her head, which cast an odd shadow and filled her with dread, as did cabbages, cardboard, bananas, and bark. It looks like a question mark. If you are dreading something, you really don't like it. So she is filled with dread when she thinks about cabbages, cardboard, bananas, and bark. And each little thing that went bump in the dark. When Lila turned 3, she had such a great thought. She twisted her wild, wiggly curl in a knot. And to the relief of all of the Greers, Greer is her last name, so these are all the people in the Greer family. To the relief of all of the Greers, she slept through the night for the first time in years. But the what-ifs still got her. Raise your hand if you're wondering what the what-ifs are. They made her heart race, put knots in her stomach, a frown on her face. Here are some examples of what-if questions. What if there are monsters? What if there are bees? Excuse me. What if I get stuck with some clowns eating cheese? In a very small room, in a building so high, what if? It made Lila cry. What emotion do you think she is feeling? Worried? Concerned? Nervous? Lila felt calmer in places she knew, with the people she loved and who loved Lila too. Ooh, look at this text. It's upside down. Then everything changed when they moved out of town. It flipped Lila's entire world upside down. The what ifs took over as she started grade 2 in a new town, a new school, with a new teacher too. What if I mess up? What if it goes wrong? What if they don't like me and we don't get along? The teacher was tall and a little bit stern, which means she was firm when she spoke. She was very direct in the way that she spoke to the students. "Hello," she said softly. "My name is Miss Kern. It's so good to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's make this a wonderfully wonderful year." But it wasn't for Lila, who did not adjust well to the odd kids, the odd sounds, the random odd smell. At lunchtime and recess, she felt all alone, so far, far away from her faraway home. This picture reminds me of our class and the new movement break strategy we're using. Safely jogging together in a circle in the classroom. Then one day, Miss Kern had a favor to ask. "Lila, my dear, could you help with a task, which is a job? There's so little time and there's so much to do. I can't clean the chalkboard at recess. Would you?" Unfathomable. It's an adjective, which is a describing word. It means too deep to measure. Lila Greer nodded. There was lots to do. She helped Monday through Thursday. She helped Friday, too. She stood on a chair and erased all the chalk. Miss Kern graded papers. Together, they talked of things that were old and things that were new, of nothing important and everything too. For the first time in Blue River Creek, which is the name of her school, Lila felt better and ready to speak of her worries and what ifs. It felt very good knowing someone was listening and they understood. It reminds me of the habit of mind, listening with understanding and empathy. Sometimes it seemed that the work would expand, get bigger, and a classmate or two would come lend a hand. This is Monday. Here's Wednesday. Here's Friday. Here's Monday. A kid with a kitten. A kid with a curl. A zoo-loving boy. A bird-loving girl. They're thinking interdependently. Then one day, Miss Kern said, "Thank you, my dear. You've been such a help. I can take it from here," which was fine because somehow the months had flown by and there was a playground for Lila to try. Here's Lila. "Just one final thought," Miss Kern said in the hall. "What if some what ifs are not bad at all? When you start an adventure, who knows where it ends? What if you learn something? What if you find friends?" And so it went for young Lila Greer. Things settled down for the rest of the year. Then came 3rd grade and 8th grade and some in between. And before long, young Lila grew into a teen. Sometimes the what-ifs came roaring right back. It was tough, but with help, she got back on track. Time passed as it does, and with each passing grade, old memories were forgotten as new ones were made. Here she is, growing up. She worked hard and studied year after year and was finally ready to start her career right there in Blue River Creek, of all places, as teacher for 17 smiling young faces. That's how many students are in our class who needed her knowledge, her skill, and her care. She straightened her black skirt and patted her hair. So she became a teacher, and she's teaching in the school that she attended, just like I am. But the what-ifs got to her as she looked in the door, and feelings came back from so long before. Lila Greer, as a grown-up, froze in a bad deja vu, which means she's thinking back to an experience that reminds her of the present, what she's doing right now. What if I mess up? She's asking herself. It's making her think about the thoughts she had when she was young. What if it goes wrong? What if they don't like me and we don't get along? Of course, she was new and had so much to learn, so she tried to think back to her teacher, Mrs. Kern, who was something or other and a little bit tall, though what that word was, Lila could not recall. So Lila's trying to think of an accurate word to describe Mrs. Kern, or Miss Kern, who was her teacher. She wants to strive for accuracy when describing her. She thought of that classroom that she belonged to when she was a little girl. I think about that often, especially when I teach. I remember how it felt to be a student. She thought of that classroom so far in the past, which looked much the same from first bit to last. Benches, a chalkboard, some desks, and whatnot. One green eraser in the very same spot. Wait! What? That's not right, Lila Greer thought. Then she remembered something she'd long since forgot. And after so many years, she finally asked, "How many erasers did we need for that task?" So she's thinking about when she was a little girl and the number of racers that were needed to do all of that erasing on the chalkboard during recess time. And she knew in that moment what her teacher had done. She'd helped her find friends in the class one by one. When she'd been so alone, isolated, right by herself, because of that fear she had, too frozen by what ifs to let anyone near, Miss Kern brought the classroom to her, Lila Greer. It made all the difference to that lonely young girl with her worries and what ifs and her wild, wiggly curl, who was far, far away from her faraway home. But thanks to Miss Kern, she wasn't alone. Her teacher had done what all great teachers do. She built a new home right there in grade 2. Lila paused as old memories flooded her mind. And she found that one word that she wanted to find. Her teacher was fiercely, ferociously, unfathomably kind. And she remembered this, stepping in from the hall. What ifs are not bad at all. When you start an adventure, who knows where it ends? What if you learn something? What if you find friends? She looked at her kids, and the fear left her heart. Like her teacher before her, she knew where to start. "Hello," she said softly. "I'm Miss Lila Greer. It's so good to meet you. I'm so glad you're here. Let's make this a wonderfully wonderful year." So the story ended the way it started. Lila Greer became an incredible teacher because she thought about the leaders who taught her when she was young. Here's a note from the author. "Dear teacher, you make all the difference. Thank you." And those are the initials of the author and illustrator. It took hundreds of people to create this book. It took thousands of teachers to prepare us for this task. This book is dedicated to educators, past, present, and future. We're learning about those words in social studies class, who share their talents, diligence, humor, and kindness with the world, and in doing so, make it a much better place. Author's note: stressful events or situations can affect our bodies. Our hearts might beat faster, and we might breathe faster too. We can feel nervous or worried. We might sweat or have a lot of nervous thoughts. It's important, if you notice that you have nervous thoughts, that you speak with someone. We know there's many, many grown-ups at school that you can speak to. Thank you so much for listening to my newest favorite book. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.